Hello guys, you are still watching MTG Jester YouTube channel, and again I'm Jester. We are at the second part of the 3-part video of unboxing Commander 2017 decks. So this time we will let our necks expose and be beaten. We will endure and enjoy our newfound lineage, because vampires will never hurt you, they will only recruit you to their clan. As you can see in the screen, we will open the Edgar Markov Mardu colored deck. This is a vampire centric deck with, I don't know if this is a grandfather of Sorin or his father. So I didn't yet see the lore about Edgar, or we call here Papa Edgar, no? So we have the Vampire Bloodlust deck. So we already readied our sleeves, and here we will just read something from the back of the box. So again, I would like to thank the one who provided me this one, although I cannot remember his name anymore, but if ever he is watching and remember me or the name that I am using, hope he comments here and we would thank him in the future video. So here it says, rally your forces, crush your enemies. It's just the same. I think this one is just the same from the first box. So it says here, choose your commander and lead your tribe to triumph in this unique multiplayer Magic format. Discover the strength of kinship with the decks that focus on tribal synergies and a sense of unity. So the first one we opened was a wizard deck. So a Grixis colored wizard deck, helmed by Inalia at Mage Ritualist, no? Then the one I told you about that I already sold was a Arabo deck. I think that's a Celestia colored Arabo deck. So it's a cat centric tribal deck, no? Today we are about to open this Mardu King Vampires. So it says here, a vampiric bloodlust. As the sole origin of their bloodline, Edgar Markov commands the Markov Vampires of Innistrad. With his tremendous influence, Edgar continually expands his vampire army, overwhelming foes with his ageless legion. So we have here, they showcase the 5 new cards. I think only something 17 new magic cards. So they just show us 5 cards here and the one in the front page. So 6 total, no, new cards that they show here. So they also showcase the 2 legendary creature that is in foil treatment in this box. So that's the, I think, like a lieutenant of Edgar Markov in the deck, no? So of course there are also vampires. So it says here the contents, something we already know that one. We will just check one by one the boxes, no? So at least we will see what it stores for us. So of course, even this box also doesn't contain any surprise factor later after we open already or finally finish opening or revealing all the contents of this deck. We will get one pack from our box, no? And we will thank the one who provided us with that. So we have here the quick reference guide. Then you have the oversized card. So we will just read this one, no? So it says here, Edgar Markov is a 6-2 cast for 4 legendary creature vampire knight. It has 3 generic and Mardu in colors. So 1 red, 1 white, and 1 black to complete it to cast, no? And it has the eminence ability. So one of those 4 creatures or 4 only creatures that has the eminence ability, no? So it says here, whenever we cast another vampire spell, if this card is in the command zone or in the battlefield, we can create a +1/+1, or rather a 1/1 black vampire creature token. So we will swarm with vampire tokens here. So Edgar Markov also has first strike and haste, so you can attack immediately. Then whenever it attacks, we put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire we control. So including that token that we made. So this is our commander of the deck. So we will not read the smaller version of it anymore. Okay. So before we start, we'll just set this one aside first. Then we will read something here. So it says here, Vampire Bloodlust. So how playing the deck works. The main commander of Vampire Bloodlust is Edgar Markov, the ancient lord of Innistrad, who spread vampirism and starred Sorin Markov. The vampire deck's primary focus is draining the life from its foes, but it also excels at all-out assault by making swarms of smaller creatures. So, like Winnie also. Edgar Markov, while a complex and ancient character, is a card with a simple goal: play vampires and attack. He can add an army of vampire tokens to the board through his Eminence ability, granting them all a boost in power when he enters the battlefield. As a commander, Licia, Sanguine Tribune, his first lieutenant, is more focused on the life-gaining aspect of the deck, and you'll want to make sure you keep a way to gain some life should she die. And remember that her ability also reduces the additional mana it costs to cast her multiple times from the command zone rather. So Matas, Fiendseeker, is another legendary feature in the deck. Excels at political game as a commander. Use his ability to make allies, sitting back and gaining life while incentivizing your opponents to look elsewhere. Then, in general, the vampire deck looks either to eliminate an opponent quickly or to slowly drain the life from its foes. Sitting at a high life total can afford you a great deal of flexibility as the game stretches on, and you'll want to leverage that ability to set off devastating attacks with hordes of undead. Then we will read something also about our legends of the deck. Says here, Edgar Markov is Sire of the Bloodline. So on Innistrad, a world known for the might of its vampires, Edgar Markov was the first and most powerful. Thousands of years ago, he was an alchemist seeking immortality for himself and his grandson, Sorin. So here, we knew that Sorin was his grandson. Even me in the lore, I don't know. Encouraged by a demon, feeding on the blood of other beings, and thus was transformed into an immortal vampire. Realizing the immensity of power he unlocked, Edgar shared the ritual with his most loyal subjects, each of whom became a founder of one of Innistrad's vampiric bloodlines, growing Edgar's vampire army into one of the most powerful forces in the world. So there you go, Edgar Markov. So here, a rustling in the shadows, a muffled scream, the scent of blood, and the victim is suddenly gone. The same story is told on worlds across the multiverse. The fearsome tale of a vampire's vicious attack. Vampirism has arisen in many different ways and for many different reasons, and the appetites and abilities of vampires vary widely. It's their endless hunger for the life force of other beings that defines vampires and drives them to kill. To the unafflicted, vampirism is viewed as a curse that infects the innocent, transforming them into monsters. But to the vampires themselves, vampirism is a boon. With their bloodlust comes power that can manifest as physical strength, advanced mental faculty, and capacity to heal themselves, and the ability to fly, and often mortality. Next here said Licia, or this one. Licia is an army general renowned for her ruthlessness in battle. She wields dual swords stained with the blood of countless victims, including the enchanted blood of an angel whose feathers Licia wears in her helmet. So I think this one, as a symbol of her supremacy. As ravenous for conquest as she is for blood, she led an invading force across the sea, rampaging from village to village in a merciless massacre, leaving nothing but death in her wake. Then, the last one is Mathas, of the 3 vampire commander in the deck. So, Mathas or rather the 3 colored vampires. So Matthias is both a vampire and a vampire hunter. His desire to be the only one of his kind drives him to betray his brethren. So if you already watched Blade by Wesley Snipes, so Matthias is like the version of Blade. Says here, he hunts his fellow vampires and brands them with a powerful holy symbol, condemning them to death. Matthias keeps his true nature a secret, playing the part of an innocent mortal, but with every death, he comes one step closer to the time when he will finally be able to unleash his hunger on the world. There. Then we will read about the other vampire legends in the deck. Here said, both Drana and Anuon are vampires from the plane of Zendikar. Drana is the blood chief of the wealthiest and most powerful vampire family on the world, the Calastria. She fought to prevent her kind from becoming mindless thralls to the monstrous Eldrazi, going so far as to temporarily ally with those whom she usually could consider prey. Over the course of his long life, Anuon's hunger for blood was augmented by his hunger for knowledge. He searches for answers to the questions that plague him about the origins of his kind and their enslavement under the Eldrazi. He will find the truth no matter the cost. It says here, some of the most feared predators in the multiverse, vampires possesses great power and they use it to pursue their desires passionately and relentlessly until the end of time. So that's what the deck would tell to us about the vampires, no? So now we will just set this all aside and we can start seeing what the deck in store for us, no? So here we have the deck. So mainly the deck. So Edgar Markov, vampire centric deck is one of the, I think this one is banned 1v1 commander. No, you can only use Edgar Markov in a chaos or 4-way commanders, no? Because I think this is really powerful when it comes to a dual commander. So here we have the Edgar Markov card. Next we have Lisha. So Lisha here is Lisha Sanguine Tribune, is a 8 to cast for 4 legendary creature vampire soldier. So can be played with 5 generic and Marduin colors. This card causes 1 generic less to cast for each 1 life you gain this turn. So if you will gain 5 life, so it will just only cost 3 mana with colored. Okay. Then she has also first strike and lifelink and has the ability to pay 5 life and put 3 +1/+1 counters on Lisha. We can only activate this one our turn and only once each turn. So Lisha says here, I give my blood, my life, and all I have in exchange for victory. So somewhat it's coincide with what the little lore that was we read a while ago. Next we have here is Matthias. So Lisha, I didn't yet see any decks that revolve on her, or maybe I already see, but not that many of deck or what. As you can see here, our ability will coincide for like equipment, making her big or gaining life, no? So here we have Matthias Finseeker, our last 3-colored commander. So Matthias is a 3 to cast 3 legendary creature vampire, so only one set of the Mardu colors. So he has Menace, and at the beginning of our end step, put a bounty counter on target creature an opponent controls. For as long as the creature has a bounty counter on it, it has. When this creature dies, each opponent draws a card and gains 2 life. And Matthias says here, all will know of your crime. So putting a bounty to one of the opponent's creature will net us life and draw a card. So it will engage our other opponents to kill the said creature if they want to gain 2 life or draw a card, no? So it will somewhat help us. And what I saw in Matas, this legendary creature, I saw one with curse enchantment focus deck, no? So I think this one is also good with that, since this 3 color also is like again Arcanum Weaver, but this will focus on curses, so at least he has a unique deck build, no? Next we have our tokens. So we have here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10 tokens. So one of those are Eldrazi Spawn, with the back is a black vampire 1/1, no? Then we have also here a 4 of black zombie 2/2 tokens. The back of them is also a vampire 1/1 black. Then lastly we have our tokens is 5 bat flying token 1/1 also. At the back is just the same vampire, so vampire all, no? Next we have here our common and uncommon cards. So we have here a Go for the Throat, or they call GFTT. Then we have Bloodline Necromancer, which we already saw in the other box, the first box we opened. So here we have the Curse of Disturbance, a Heirloom Blade, Return to Dust, a Swords to Plowshares, Ambition's Cause, a Blood Artist, another good vampire, a Blood Husk, Ritualist, a Falcon Rat Novel, a Curse of Vitality, a Pawn of Olomog, With the Bones, Skeletons Crying, a Siphon Mine, and our first word. So our first word for this box is Siphon. So here we go. So Siphon Mine is a 4 to cast sorcery spell. So 3 generic and 1 black to play it. Each other player discards a card. Then we draw a card for each card discarded this way. So if all of our opponent discarded 1 of each, so we can draw 3 cards from this one. It says here, when tempers run high, it's easy to lose your head. So this is our first word, Siphon. We have Tight Drinker, and will also be our second word, no? Our second word will be Tight. So Tight Drinker is a 2 to cast to 1 creature vampire. So we only use the Orzo combination of mana to cast it. So 1 black and 1 white only. So it has the ability Extort. So Extort here, we already know that whenever we cast a spell, we can pay either black or white to let our opponent lose 1 life, and or each opponent of our to lose 1 life, and we gain that much life, no? So if they lose 1 all, so if it's a 4-way commander, if they each lose 1 life, we will gain 3 life. So Tight Drinker also has life link. So that will be our second word, Tight. Then we have our rare, pink rare mythic here. So our first white rare is Kindred Boon. So Kindred Boon is a 4 to cast enchantment, 2 generic and double white. So when it enters the battlefield, we choose a creature type, no? Then we can pay 2, 1 generic and 1 white to put a divinity counter on target creature we control of the chosen type. Then each creature we control with a divinity counter on it has indestructible. Then the second rare we have here is I think this is the expensive card in the deck, the Paris Protection, no? So but now I think it already gone down, no, because of the reprints from the list, I think, or mystery booster. I'm not too sure for the reprint of this one, but the one I'm sure with the new art is the secret lair extra life, no? So hopefully we can open one in the future videos, no, for that secret lair. So here it says the player's protection is a 3-2 cast instant. So 2 generic and 1 white to play it. It says here, until your next turn, your life total can change and you have protection from everything. All permanents you control faces out. So faces out, we already knew what it means during the core set, no, from Teferi himself. And says here, we exile Teferi's protection after it resolves, no. Then we have our first black rare is a Kero Mind Eater. So Kero Mind Eater is a 3-2 cast 1-3 creature vampire. So in ugly looking vampire here, no. Kero, I think Kero is from the plane of Ravnica. I'm not too sure. So you can comment down where the Kero really came from. So say 3-2 cast 1-3 creature vampire, 2 generic and 1 black to play it, and has menace. And whenever this deals damage or combat damage to a player, that player exiles a card from his or her hand face down. Then we can look at that card and play it with Kero Mind Eater, no? But it will not change the mana cost of that, not like the same of other cards that change the, we can use any color of mana. This one fixed. So if we exile 1 green, we cannot cast it if this is the deck we are using, no? Then we have our second black rare, a New Blood. So a 4-2 cast sorcery, 2 generic and 2 black, no? So says here, as an additional cost to cast New Blood, tap and untap vampire you control and gain control of target creature. Change the text of the text of that creature by replacing all instances of one creature type with vampire. So flavor wise here, Olivia Boldaren is trying to recruit this man to be a vampire, no? So he's gaining the control of that man. So Olivia says here, now isn't that better? The next black rare is a Patron of the Vein. So a 6-2 cast 4-4 creature vampire sham. I think this vampires came from the Zendikar plane with their form, no? Then it's a 4 generic and double black to play. It has also flying and says here, when it enters the battlefield, we can destroy target creature and opponent controls. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, we exile it and put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire we control, no? Next we have here our first red rare, no? It's a Bloodthorn Steward. So Bloodthorn Steward is a 4-2 cast 4-4 creature vampire knight. So 2 generic and double red. So it has flying and commander creatures we control get +2/+2 and have haste. So if we are playing a commander from the Commander Legends which has the party partner mechanic, so those each of those commander will get +2/+2, no, and have haste. Then the vampire says here, my liege will lead and I will follow to the battlefield, to the grave and beyond. Next we have another red rare. It's a 5-2 cast 4-5 creature vampire knight. So Crimson Honor Guard, 3 generic and double in red to play. So it has trample, and at the beginning of each player's end step, Crimson Honor Guard deals 4 damage to that player unless he or she controls a commander. Excuse me. So says here, the finest soldiers aren't worth a whit without a set of hands to lead them and a set of eyes to guide them. Okay. So here we have another red rare, Disrupt Decorum, and will also be our third word. So Disrupt Decorum is a 4-2 cast sorcery. So 2 generic and double red. Says here, goad all creatures you don't control. So goad mechanic says, until our next turn, those creatures attack each combat if able and attack a player other than as if able, no? So it says here, dinner and politics don't mix. So our third word is decorum. Next rare, is again a red one. So a 6-2 cast sorcery for generic and double red kindred charge. The one who was also shown to us in the box. So says here, we choose a creature type. Then for each creature we control of the chosen type, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Then those creature or those tokens rather gain haste, and we exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Then says here, for goblins, quantity is quality. Next we have here another white rare is Blind Obedience. Blind Obedience, I think we already know the extort ability. We will not delve into it. So it's a 2-2 cast enchantment, 1 generic and 1 white. So it has the extort, and artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tap. Then this guy says here, I think this one is one ministers of the Orzhov Guild. So by the time your knees have worn to your robe, you may have begun to learn your place. So that's what he said to the guy here, bowing him. So next we have here a white rare again, a Fell the Mighty. So a 5-2 cast sorcery spell. So 4 generic and 1 white. Says here, we destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. And Square Imalia, Saibut this week says, they had it coming. I think he is this one, no? Then we have our first non-Marduk legendary creature, Anwon the Ruin Sage. So it's a 5-2 cast for 3 legendary creature vampire shaman from Zendikar, no? 3 generic and double black to play it. It says here at the beginning of our upkeep, each player sacrifice a non-vampire creature. So in this deck, it will not be a problem because we can sacrifice our token every upkeep. So it says here, so many have died in search of that map, and now it appears in the hands of the arrogant child Chandra Nalar. So I think this map pertains to the one in the Eye of Ugin, no? If I'm correct. So this one, we have Anwan also has the new introduction of him or his card in the Zendikar Rising, no? Next we have a black market. So a 5-2 cast enchantment, 3 generic and double black. Says here, whenever a creature dies, we put a charge counter on black market. Then at the beginning of our pre-combat main phase, we add 1 black mana to our mana pool for each charge counter on this one. Next we have Blood Tribute, a 6-2 cast sorcery. So 4 generic and double in black. So if you can see here in the art, I think this one is Edgar Markov, this one is Sorin, and Olivia Boldarin here, no? So it has kicker ability. So kicker is like an additional payment for the spell, and also it will have a additional effect if we play it. It says here, the kicker cost is we tap an untap vampire we control. So as we play the spell, no? It says here, target opponent loses half his or her life rounded up. So if the kicker cost was kicked or paid, we gain life equal to the life loss this way, no? Okay, we have a mythic black card. So we have Blood Lord of Vasgoth. So a 5-2 cast 3/3 creature vampire warrior. It has or can be played with 3 generic and double mana. So it has the Bloodthirst ability. So Bloodthirst is, if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with equal numbers of counters on it equal to its Bloodthirst mechanic. So this one is Bloodthirst 3. So it will come into play with 3 +1/+1 counters. So it has also the flying mechanic or ability. And whenever we cast a vampire creature spell, it gains also Bloodthirst 3, no? I think Bloodthirst is from the is it I think Bloodthirst, I think this one is from the Growl mechanic or the first ability of Growl. I'm not too sure, no? So next one is another mythic. So it's a Orzhov color. So Blood Baron of Discopa. A 5-2 cast 4/4 creature vampire. So 3 generic and 1 set of orbs of color. So it has lifelink and protection from white and from black. And says here, as long as we have 30 or more life and an opponent has 10 or less life, Blood Baron of Discopa gets +6/+6 and has flying. So it will go bigger as our opponent loses more life, no? Next one, we have the Walking Grave Pack, a Butcher of Malakir. So Butcher of Malakir is a 7-2 cast, 5/4 creature, vampire warrior. So 5 generic and a double black to play it. It says here, flying. It has a flying ability, and whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature we control dies, each opponent sacrifice a creature. So somewhat like Grave Pack in ability, no? So it says here, his verdict is always guilty. His sentence is always death. There we go. Next we have Captivating Vampire, a 3-2 cast 2/2 creature vampire. So 1 generic and double black to play it. And also this one is one of the Lord of Vampire because it gives +1/+1 to other vampires we control. Then it has also the ability, top 5 and top vampires we control, we can gain control of target creature, no? And it will become a vampire in addition to its other types. So there you go. Next we have here a Consuming Vapors. Consuming Vapors is a 4-2 cast sorcery spell, 3 generic and 1 black to play it. So it says here, target player sacrifice a creature, then we gain life equal to the creature's toughness, and he has the rebound ability. This one started coming, this ability, I think in the original Zendikar. So it says here, rebound is, if you cast this spell from your hand, we exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of our next upkeep, we cast this card from our exile without paying its mana cost. So I think it will go also to the graveyard, no? I think this one is one of those we haven't answered, no? So that's the rebound ability. Next one, we have Damnable Pact. So Damnable Pact is a X spell with double mana to play it. So it's a sorcery and says target player of those X cards and loses X life, so equal to the amount we paid. It says here, by Ciara, the Dragon's Mouth, Silumgar's mind is a dark labyrinth full of grim secrets and subtle traps. Next we have here a Dark Impostor, another vampire. So it will cast 2/2 creature vampire assassin, 2 generic and 1 black. It has the ability to pay 6 mana, so 4 generic and double black. It says exile target creature and put a +1/+1 counter on Dark Impostor. Then Dark Impostor has all activated abilities of all creatures and cards exiled with it, no? Then the Impostor says here, this is a nice life. I can see why you were so desperate to keep it. Next we have here another legendary creature, Drana, Calastria Bloodchief. I think this is the first Drana card that was exposed to us, no? As of now, we already have the third Drana. I'm pretty sure it's already a third Drana, no, or third version of Drana. So it is a 5-2 cast 4/4 legendary creature, vampire shaman, 3 generic and double black to play it. Has flying and has the ability X plus 2 black. So target creature gets -0 -X until end of turn, and Drana Calastria Bloodchief gets +X+0 until end of turn. So it equal to the amount of mana paid to X. Says here also, if our former masters would have us kneel again, we shall feel our defiance. Slash was their membrane. So that was Drana who said it. Next we have here a Malakir Blood Witch. So a 5-2 cast 4/4 creature vampire shaman, and 3 generic and double black to play it. So it has also flying and protection from white. And when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses life equal to the number of vampires we control, and we gain life equal to the life lost this way, no? Next we have here Sangromancer, another good vampire in the deck. So Sangromancer is a 4-2 cast 3-3 creature vampire shaman with flying. So 2 generic and double black to play it. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, we may gain 3 life. And whenever an opponent discards a card, we may gain 3 life also. Next we have one of the combo of the other enchantment. So Sanguine Band. Sanguine Band is a 5-2 cast enchantment. So 3 generic and double in black. Says here, whenever we gain life, that opponent loses that much life. No? Also good for the Licia deck if we are building life gain. No? Says here by Bradim, Vampire Nocturnus. Blood is constant. Every drop I drink, someone must bleed. Next we have here a Skeletal Vampire. No? Skeletal Vampire, I think we already read from the one box that we opened, the Ores of Guild. So we will not delve into it deeper. So we'll just showcase the same art. Next we have here Underworld Connections. So it's a 3-2 cast enchantment aura, 1 generic and double black that can only enchant land. No? So says here the enchanted land has tap it and pay 1 life. Then we can draw a card. Flavor text says here, if you're looking for it, it's available. The question is how much you're willing to pay. Next we have here another vampire is a Vein Drinker. So a Vein Drinker is a 6-2 cast 4-4 creature vampire for generic and double in black. I think this vampire came from the Grixis plane, no? Because it shows death and decay at the background. So it has flying and we can pay 1 red mana and tap this to let this card deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Then that creature deals damage also to this card. So it seems like what do you call this one? Fight. No? So it says here, whenever a creature damage by Vein Drinker this turn dies, we put a +1/+1 counter on Vein Drinker. Next we have a red rare, no? Outpost Siege, a 4-2 cast enchantment, 3 generic and 1 red. So it says here, as Outpost Siege enters the battlefield, we choose either Cans or Dragons. So if we choose Cans, at the beginning of our upkeep, we exile the top card of our library. Then until end of term, we can play that card. And if we also choose or we choose to pick the Dragon side, says here, whenever a creature we control leaves the battlefield, Outpost Siege deals 1 damage that so to target creature or player. I think Goblin Bombardment ability is this one, no? Then we have here a Crackling Doom. So a 3-2 cast instant. So 1 set of Marding colors. So Crackling Doom deals 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures he or she controls. Then says here, do not fear the lightning, fear the one it obeys. So next we have here the Merciless Eviction. So a 6-2 cast sorcery. So 4 generic and 1 Orzhov and combination of colors. And it has 4 modes, so we can choose one either of this one. So exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, and finally the last mode is exile all planeswalkers. Then we have in equipment rare. So Blade of the Bloodship is a 1-2 cast artifact equipment. So 1 generic only to be paid. Then says here, whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. And if equipped creature is a vampire, put a +1/+1 counters, or rather 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. So it has the equip cost of 1 generic. Here we have Door of Destiny. It's really good for tribal decks, no? Especially those smaller ones. So Door of Destiny is a 4-2 cast artifact for generic and to paid. So when it enters the battlefield, we choose a creature type, and whenever we cast a spell of a chosen type, we put a charge counter on this one. And creatures we control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. Next, we have here another rare artifact is a Will of Lost Dreams. So a 4 to cast artifact, so 4 generic, and whenever we gain life, we can pay X. So where X is less than or equal to the amount of life we gain, no? If we do, we draw cards or X cards, no? Saying here, some say the knowledge lost during the ritual of rebuking is returned to the well's waters. So good also for if you want to make a Licia Sanguine Tribune. So if you notice here, I already put the our commanders or our foil legendaries in shields. So I think you saw a sudden stop in the video, so I just made it to prepare the cards, no, at least they will not bend. So here we have an additional basic land. So for the swamp we have so total of 8 swamp in all, no, and we have 3 art also for that swamps. Next we have mountains. So we have here 4 mountains with 3 of those are different in art, no. Then another basic lands, our final basic land is another, or rather 3 plains with different art. Then we go into our non-basic lands. Akum, as the professor says in his Solarian Community College YouTube video. Rakdos Carnarium. So this will be our 4th word also. So Rakdos Carnarium is another bounce land. So it will enter also into play tap, and whenever it enters the battlefield, we need to return a land card from our hand. It doesn't see if it's a tap or non-tap land. So better to return a tap land, or before returning it we can float the mana from it. Then this card or this bounce land will produce Rakdos in combination, 1 black and 1 red, 1 red in when we tap it, no. So this is our 4th word, Carnarium. So that is the content of our Mardu Vampire-centric Commander 2017, no? So quite a lot of good rares there, and especially the head of the box, so Edgar Markov. So now we will be opening our or revealing 1 pack from our box, no? So again, this is our trusty box. And we will get one, taking this one, Commander Legends pack, no? Here. So again, we will thank Mr. Jonel Dumlao of Ordo, Online Hobby, and Card Shop. So here we have a Monarch Torcan. There you go. Then we have a Clark the Tumbless. So I'm planning to make a Clark Sakashima flip coin deck. So this is a good addition to us. Then we have a Rebek Architect of Ascension. There we go. Then we have a Shimmer Mirror. There, Shimmer Mirror. Wait, we'll just arrange this one like this. Yeah, good. Then we have Scholar of Ages, good also for the Inalia deck, no? You can also put this one in the Inalia deck. So our rare, I think this one only is Clark the Tumbless. the Sentinel Spider. And this will be our last word, no? This is our fifth and final word for the video, Sentinel. So Sentinel Spider is a 5-2 cast for 4 creature spider. So it has vigilance and reach. And Endril Kalonian naturally says here, your first reaction may be to stand very still and hope she didn't see you. Trust me, she did. So this is our last word, Sentinel. So I hope you enjoyed the unboxing of Edgar Markov Commander deck.